So Impact last night came on at 9 o'clock for whatever reason. And don't tell me it's because of the playoff games, because it was 2 NHL and 1 NBA game. Well, it was 4 NHL games and 2 NBA games. So it was 6 playoff games in total, all at different times last night. So that playoffs, that's such a dumb excuse to push stuff back. Like, just don't do it, or do it at the normal time. There was no reason to push the show back 2 hours. And the system was glitching too. Not the system, but the app, the TNA Plus app. It was messing up last night. I mean, I was able to watch most of it. I had to finish it today, just a few minutes ago as I'm recording this. So the review is coming out a bit later than it usually does. It will be back to normal programming next week at 7. So the review will be out that same Thursday. But this was an action-packed episode of Impact. So let's get straight into it. I had to flip my notebook because one segment I didn't see, and it was at the beginning of the show. But Joe Hendry, he called out Trick Williams. And Trick Williams, he appeared on the big screen. He was like, the main event is a good opportunity to hurt somebody. It was said that Trick Williams said the main event is a good opportunity for somebody to get hurt. So revisit that at the end of the video. But Sami Callihan and Mance Warner, they started the show. They had a segment backstage with Santino. And obviously they had one of the most brutal matches ever. But they showed respect to each other by shaking hands, since they were both unable to go to the Rebellion pay-per-view. They were both at Unbreakable. But I mean, it was a cool segment to get the show started. Then Mike Santana, he had a match against Isaiah Moore, who random jobber, and Mike Santana got the win. The match was quick. My problem is and then Mike Santana, he called out Joe Hendry afterwards because he wants a shot at the TNA World Championship, which I think that'll be a good match for Joe Hendry. But I don't think this justifies him getting a title shot. If you would have cut this promo without having this match, then I'd be like, okay. But even then, it feels like he beat Ali at the end of the day. Like, he got to get some more wins before, and obviously he's one of the best of all time. But we're talking about this year as Joe Hendry as the champion, and how since Joe Hendry's been champion, what has Mike Santana done since that to earn a championship shot? He hasn't done a lot. He lost one match against Ali. He won 2 of them. Then he wins the match against the jobber. Like, he has to, you have him go 1 or 2 against the good hands or something. And just have him have a few more matches before you run this. Because I think it should actually be some intrigue and build up to this, whereas we should go into this match not knowing who's going to win. Like, I think a lot of people are predicting Elijah to take the title from Joe Hendry, maybe Trick Williams as a wild card. But Mike Santana will be a good one to run that down the line around Slammiversary if he does keep the title that long. But the segment was good, but the match doesn't justify him getting a title shot. So hopefully somebody else gets in his way before he gets that title shot. Or that could just be a story all year that every time he gets a step closer, somebody gets in his way. Because there's multiple guys at the top right now, and Mike Santana, it's just unrealistic for him to be the world champion at this moment. Then you had Steve Macklin. He was prepared to come down and cut a promo and talk about the situation with Eric Young and the Northern Armory. They didn't give him a chance to make that happen. Northern Armory ended up beating him down. Eric Young came out there, beating him with a chain, and that was the end of that. Zachary wins first Moose for the X Division Championship. Didn't get a lot of notes for this match, but this was a good match. But I do have a gripe, and that's with Moose's booking in general. Like, this might be a bit of a tangent, and more so, this isn't even about the match itself, because the match was good. I enjoyed it. They did a good job making you think, oh, maybe Zachary Wentz can win this match, since he did get the pin on him at Rebellion in the 6-man tag team match, and I already talked about that. And then this is his contractually old rematch from back in September. So you know what? Okay, but the match was good. Moose ended up winning, but Alyssa Edwards had to interfere for Moose to get the win. You're telling me Moose can't beat up Zachary Wentz? Like, obviously he's a tag team guy. He's not a bad wrestler, but he is a tag team guy at the end of the day, and he needs help to beat him. What sense does that make? Moose was the one that took the pin in the 6-man tag team match after he already wrestled, and you have 2 scrubs next to him in Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers, who haven't made much of an impact. And when I say scrubs, I mean, what have they done this year? What have they did lately? Nothing. So you always, whenever there's a tag team match with the system, Moose is the one taking the pins, or he's losing in some cheap ways. Like, I know that he's a heel, but he should be a dominant heel. he should be a Gunther type of heel where he doesn't have to cheat to win. Like that's how I think, because Moose is one of the most powerful wrestlers in the industry, not just TNA. So why does he have to consistently win his matches by interference? That makes me mad about his booking. Like he should be way more dominant. Since he's lost the world title and been in the X Division scene, it hasn't helped his career. It hasn't hurt it either. It's just kind of been at a standstill because his run hasn't done nothing for him, and it has helped other talent, has showcasing them like Leon Slater, like Zachary Wentz. Like he does a good job making other wrestlers look good. But the stuff he did with Obafemi was way more important than anything he did in the X Division, and that's with a whole different company. And it's not because it's WWE, because no, that's not the case. It was with NXT, their developmental brand. But the problem is these title defenses, this title reign, it hasn't been amazing, but it hasn't been bad either. It's just been a solid reign. It's just nothing you can really take away from it. Like this doesn't add to Moose's career. Like it's an accomplishment. It doesn't hurt it either, but it feels like his career's just been at a standstill since being a X Division champion. Which is why I want him to lose it. Maybe Eddie Edwards takes it from him if they tell that story with the system. But I think Leon Slater or KC Navarre, like those are both good options to win the X Division championship soon. Feels like Leon Slater should have won at Rebellion. He didn't, but it's okay. And then after that, you had Cody Deaner. He cut a promo, talks about how he hadn't won a match in over a year. And he wants one last chance, and he's going to get it at Under Siege. Likely his final match will be against Eric Young, and he'll lose and not be, his contract won't be renewed. If he does get the win, he'll get his contract renewed, which would be interesting. And his match is against Eddie Edwards. What did Santino call him? Did he call him Edward Eddies or Edward Edwards? Santino called him something stupid. It was not Eddie Edwards, but it was something then Edwards at the end. Santino is hilarious, but as that's happening, Robert Stone and Victoria Crawford, aka Alicia Fox, show up after Santino made offer Cody Deaner a match for his extension. Robert Stone called Cody Deaner a waste. What do you call him? Call him a waste of life. That was hilarious. And then he called Victoria Crawford. She said that she was going after the Knockouts Championship. She's going after Masha Slamovich. Victoria Crawford, Robert Stone, they just came and just made demands. Now they're in control now, and Robert Stone is working with WWE. So maybe they're planning to do something with WWE invading TNA or something like that. Like I feel like they could be interesting. That could be fun if they did something like that. And then Victoria Crawford isn't the only debut on on Impact from last night. But I like this. This is going to be a good opponent for Masha Slamovich, and I can actually get into that promo now, because Masha cut another good promo talking about how she's going to show Victoria why she doesn't belong in TNA. Now, she hasn't wrestled in a while from what I know, but when she was Alicia Fox in WWE, she was one of the best out of Divas eras. Definitely one of the most underrated. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how she looks in the ring. She will have a match next week. I think our first opponent in TNA should be Zaya Brookside, somebody I really like. Somebody I think who's a good wrestler, and her taking a pin would not hurt her next week. Like that'd just be a good way for her to get a, like if she has any rust, dust that off against somebody like Zaya Brookside, who's gonna give her a solid match, and you can make that like 7 or 8 minutes, and Zaya Brookside look fine in it. And then you have Rosemary interfere, cause distraction, that play even more into the story. So I think Victoria Crawford should go against Zaya Brookside first next week in her first match in TNA. And I enjoyed this. Like, this was surprising. Robert Stone says a lot of nepotism going on. Then you get backstage after the commercial break with Santino backstage with his daughter, Ariana Grace. For those that didn't know, and Tessa Blanchard, she was like, when it comes to women's wrestling, the hierarchy is me, then everybody else. And Victoria Crawford looked at her kind of funny, like, oh, okay, just gonna brush me aside. And Tessa Blanchard already lost the Knockouts Championship match to Masha Slamovich. And now Victoria Crawford's going after the championship. I could see a world where Robert Stone turns on Victoria Crawford, teams with Tessa Blanchard, and they make Victoria lose at Under Siege. Because I don't think I wouldn't mind her winning, but I don't think she's going to beat Masha for the TNA Knockouts Championship. She could do it, but if they're going to do this thing with Robert Stone and Victoria Crawford and Tessa Blanchard, because I don't see Victoria and Tessa teaming up anytime soon. I just don't see that as a possibility. And Robert Stone is going to have to pick one of the two. And I can see him picking Tessa Then she could get a second championship shot and she can win it again in the summer. She wasn't able to win it now, but maybe she pair herself with Robert Stone, get some backup, get some reinforcement, then she could win it. Or Victoria Crawford could cost her too, and you could do a one-on-one match with them. Or you could even do that for the title if one of them wins the championship. So I think it's a lot of stuff they can do with Victoria Crawford and Tessa Blanchard. You can even do a triple threat with them and Masha Slamovich. You can do a good job with all three of them telling a story. You could even get Ariana Grace involved. Obviously, her being Miss NXT and working with NXT and TNA, would have her give her some run in TNA for a little bit. With her dad Santino, have Ariana Grace get involved in this. Maybe you do have Victoria and Tessa Blanchard team up if you can make that work and have them go against Masha and Ariana Grace. Because obviously Ariana Grace, she's not gonna like. I don't think she likes the shot that Robert Stone threw at her talking about the nepotism thing, because that's likely what he was referring to. So you could do Victoria Crawford versus Ariana Grace. That could be Victoria's first match in TNA. That would be a fun first match. I think Ariana Grace, she isn't the best, but she could look solid. I think Victoria Crawford can make her look solid. Now I gotta get used to calling her her actual name instead of Alicia Fox, but it's cool. You had Maggie Lee versus Jody Threat, as Maggie Lee did cost Spitfire the tag team titles in a fatal 4-way tag team match. But the match was solid. Jody Threat got the win over Maggie Lee. What confused me is why the Elegance brand was happy that she lost. I mean, she went out there and fought on her own. It was no shenanigans, but she just straight up lost, and they want to help her, I guess. But you could have interfered in the match and helped her win like she did for y'all. So okay, that threw me off. But and then you had another debut knockout in Indy Hartwell cutting her first promo on TNA, and it was really good. I enjoyed it. She was like she's gunning for the entire division. She's not just here to be another wrestler. I can see her she won't be inserted into the world title picture now because it's pretty stacked, but maybe she could do something with like a Rosemary, a Savannah Evans. I could see her first match being somebody like a Savannah Evans or Lee Ching Lee. Like there's definitely some solid stuff you can do. Or if you wanted to do a crossover thing with the main roster, you could do Candice LeRae in Indy Hartwell in a match, because Candice is still employed by WWE, and I don't know what they're really using her for, but you could do something like that. So you could, even if you don't want to showcase the upper main event level talent on the main roster, you could do some of the mid-carders, like a Candice LeRae who's wrestling in the speed division on X. You could do that, run their story. Like I said, Savannah Evans would be a cool first opponent. There's definitely some solid options for Indy Hartwell to wrestle with her. I don't know if her first match is going to be next week or in a few weeks. I know Victoria Crawford is wrestling. Not sure if Indy is, but she's going to do some fun stuff in TNA. And it was a great first promo. You had Casey Navarre versus Leon Slater, two guys in the X Division, and they were both in the Ultimate X match. Leon Slater ended up getting the win. AJ Francis was ejected from ringside. This was a fun match against two smaller guys. I enjoyed it. Obviously, Leon Slater got the win. I do wish Casey Navarre could get some more wins. I don't think he should have won last night, so I'm not mad at that. But I do think he should pick up some more wins. I really want to see him and AJ Francis go after the tag team titles, because I think they cut promos so well and they do such a great job selling stories on the mic. You could put them in the tag team division and make them a viable threat to beat the Hardys, not the Hardys, to beat the Nimble Brothers for the tag team titles. Because if Nick didn't turn heel, I probably would have assumed that they were going to beat the Hardys. But since Nick did, the Nimble Brothers beating the Hardys makes sense. But you could have them go after the Nimbles to win the tag team titles. Had them beat the Hardys first. Had them beat the Colognes. And yeah, I don't know where the Colognes been at, but do them versus the Colognes. My son, do them versus System. I just had them rack up some wins and get them over as baby faces. I want to see them be a babyface team. I think that the heel character is good, but I think it's time for AJ Francis and Casey Navarre to be baby faces. I think the fans will really get behind them. Then you had the main event with Joe Hendry and the Hardys teaming up to take on Frankie Kazarian and the Nimbles. And Joe's entrance was amazing. After the We Believe and Joe Hendry, it kept going, and it surprised you. It's like, we believe in Matt Hardy. Then they did the same thing for Jeff So that was a cool entrance because I wasn't expecting that. Then they all came out together. Walked in. Well, they didn't come out together, but they walked to the ring together. And then it was a solid 6-man tag team match, a good main event. Then Trick Williams, he said the main event is a good opportunity for somebody to get hurt. And he cashed in on that promise as he came out there, attacked Joe Hendry when the ref wasn't looking. Though Jeff Hardy ended up being the fall guy again, taking the pin, this time to Nick. And Nick got the pin to 6-man, so the Nimmer Brothers and Frankie Kazarian ended up getting the win. The Trick stood tall over Joe. I'm thinking Joe would probably cost him in the Battle Royal this week to get a chance at Obafemi. Then you'll go into that program of Trick versus Joe for the title. Because next week on NXT there is a match with Hank and Tank and Trick versus Dark State. No, Hank and Tank and Joe Hendry versus Dark State, and then Trick is in a 25-man Battle Royal to determine Obafemi's #1 contender for the championship. So it could be a case of both of them costing each other their matches on NXT, or Joe just costs Trick, and assuming that's the main event, the Battle Royal, and Joe, he wins his match. That's the Dark State's first loss. And then Trick, he loses. He's one of the last 5 people, and Joe Hendry makes him lose, or he has the title match against Owen. That's how Joe makes him lose. But I think it'll be a better story if they do plan on doing a one-on-one match. I think it'll be a better story if Trick doesn't get anywhere near the NXT title. Have Joe come out there and make him lose, throw him over the top. He don't even enter because I don't think he's in the Battle Royal anyways. So yeah, I think they're definitely doing Trick and Joe down the line. Now they do have a tag team match on Impact next week. It's gonna be Elijah and Joe Hendry versus Frankie Kazarian and Trick Williams. So they're gonna do something with Frankie and Joe again. They're gonna do a one-on-one match for sure. Then after that, move into the program with Trick. And assuming that Trick doesn't win it, that's when I would pull the trigger on the. Because Mike Santana. Now I have somebody get in the way of Mike Santana, because I would pull the trick on Joe and Elijah. After you do the stuff with Frankie, you finish that up, because that's been a good feud. Then you do some stuff with Trick, and that's been good so far. So finish those 2 stories, then do some stuff with Elijah, or you do some stuff with Mike Santana and make one of those 2 guys the one to end up beating him for the TNA World Title. But overall, I give this Impact to 8.5 out of 10. It was definitely a great episode. I went on a little bit of rant for some of these because there was a bit of fantasy booking in here, but I hope y'all enjoy it. I'm excited to see Victoria Crawford back in a wrestling ring, and I'm excited to see Indy Hartwell back with a big promotion. Hopefully, they both do some cool stuff on Impact and both on TNA, and both have good runs. Leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your thoughts on last night's episode of Impact.